Hey there everyone, welcome back to another Game Vault video. As always, I'm Captain Beefy with the Game Vault, and we're back at thatparkplace.com, where we're going to talk about the future of Lara Croft and Tomb Raider. So let's cue up the music and we'll get right into it. Alright, so for some reason, after Disney's massive Indiana Jones failure, that was Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, or whatever it was called, Amazon MGM Studios hires Phoebe Waller-Bridge to write new Tomb Raider series. So this is gaming adjacent, not really gaming in itself, but it will have an impact on the future of Lara Croft. That much I can guarantee you. So Amazon and MGM Studios officially announced that Phoebe Waller-Bridge will write and executive produce a new Tomb Raider series for the streamer. In a press release, Amazon MGM Studios announced today at its inaugural upfront presentation, Prime Video announced that it has ordered a Tomb Raider series with Phoebe Waller-Bridge, Fleabag, what's that, her nickname? Set as writer and executive producer. This series is based on the iconic Tomb Raider video game franchise, which follows the adventures of world-famous archaeologist and adventurer Lara Croft. It added, the project comes as part of a deal between Crystal Dynamics and Amazon MGM Studios, originating through DJ2's first look deal with the studio to develop additional Tomb Raider stories into series and films. Tomb Raider will premiere exclusively on Prime Video in more than 240 countries and territories worldwide. So everybody's jumping on board to develop various video game IPs into either movies or television series. We've seen everything from The Last of Us to Fallout to now we've got this coming up. We had Halo, Ark the animated series, the list goes on and on and on. And Tomb Raider potentially could be a good thing, it could be kind of fun. I think the Tomb Raider character is a fantastic character. Lara Croft is great. Obviously based heavily in the DNA of Indiana Jones, and then somewhere along the line, we got a little bit of Uncharted in there, Nathan Drake, and now it's just this big mess that the three of them are kind of all intermingled somehow, and by that I just mean like there's just so much common DNA in their type of stories and all that it's you can see little traces of it going back and forth and all that. There's nothing wrong with that, nothing wrong with that. I love Lara Croft. I love the original Tomb Raider games. I even liked the reboot, the Crystal Dynamic reboot. I mean, it did fall short here and there, but overall I think it was fun. The new look was interesting. I know it kind of took away from the sexy Lara Croft in the day, and that really didn't bother me. I'm going to be straight up honest with you, because the story just had this grittier, dirtier, more realistic feel to it. And throughout the games, a lot of times you get older skins and all that if you really wanted to play that old style, that old look, whatever. You get different outfits and all that for her, which was cool, but I liked the new Lara Croft to some degree. I thought it was pretty good. She had her little team around her and all that, and the adventures were good. They were, for the most part. The third one was a little overblown and whatnot, but, I mean, it was a lot of fun, though. I enjoyed those games. Kind of got away from the tomb raiding a little bit and got more into these little third-person shooters and adventure games and all that, but, again, games evolve with time. But, yeah. Waller-Bridge commented on the announcement, if I could tell my teenage self this was happening, I think she'd explode. Tomb Raider has been a huge part of my life, and I feel incredibly privileged to be bringing it to television with such passionate collaborators. She added, Lara Croft means a lot to me, as she does to many, and I can't wait to go on this adventure, bats and all. I got a lot of trepidation about this. So we all know Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny was a piece of crap that just floated belly up at the box office. I don't even think it made its budget back, to be honest. I grew up an Indiana Jones fan. I was the right age. I was like 10 or 12 when Indiana Jones came out, the first one, Raiders of the Lost Ark. The prime age for that kind of a movie to be there at this influential part of my life. Um, Spielberg based these movies off of those old serialized TV shows from back in the day that would kind of leave you cliffhanging every week and all that. And it was great. It was just a fantastic movie, the first one. The second one got a little dark and a little, it wasn't as good, but it wasn't terrible. The third one recaptured the magic of the first one for the most part, and it threw in a little Sean Connery and River Phoenix to make things even cooler, which was nice. So it was almost up there on par with the first one. And then we got The Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, which was arguably the worst movie in the series. Probably still, I don't know. Well, it's probably not anymore, but still, for me it is, because I never saw The Dial of Destiny. I refused to see it. To me, when they announced it, I was like, no, I just don't. I used to be a completionist. I used to want to watch everything and own everything that was part of a beloved franchise for me. But I realized there are certain times where it's time to stop and cut things off. Think of it this way: if you have a loved one, and that loved one gets sick and is dying, you don't want to remember that person that way, right? So, I'm not saying you don't go visit them and all that, but what I'm saying is, given a choice, maybe you wouldn't. Maybe you'd be like, oh, I don't want to remember this person that way. I want to remember them at their best. I don't want to remember them at their worst. And I didn't want to remember Indiana Jones as a 80-some-odd-year-old adventurer being pushed aside by some younger feminist woman and made to look like a fool and made to look like this and being deconstructed and all that. I didn't want it. I didn't get it. So to me, that Indiana Jones never existed. But anyway, I just don't see her doing Lara Croft justice. Pray that I'm wrong. And if I'm wrong, I will eat my hat gladly. If she does Lara Croft justice, I will be ecstatic. Amazon MGM studio head Jennifer Salke also stated, "I'm so happy to announce that we have ordered the epic globetrotting series Tomb Raider from the incredibly gifted Emmy Award winner Phoebe Waller-Bridge and the team at Crystal Dynamics. Fans and newcomers can look forward to exhilarating adventures that honor the legacy of this iconic character," she said. I don't know. Head of studio at Crystal Dynamics, Scott Amos, also stated Amazon MGM Studios and Amazon Games are incredible collaborators with a massive reach across the globe, enabling us to expand our Tomb Raider franchise with multiple new adventures and a shared passion for creating impactful, entertaining, emotional experiences for players and viewers throughout every facet of this universe. These timeless stories span all media platforms to meet audiences where they want to engage with Tomb Raider. It's a critical step toward our future with fans everywhere, he added. And more of these gaming companies are going this route, right? They're becoming multimedia. They're putting out, video games, TV series, movies, comic books, whatever. And, they're telling you what's canon and what's not. Some stuff may be canon, some stuff may be not canon, whatever. I guess the new Fallout series is canon, so... But, it's weird. I watched it, right? And I enjoyed it, despite its flaws. And there were some serious flaws there, and there was some serious wokiness to it. But overall, I feel like, to some degree, they really, really cared about Fallout and the world of Fallout and the way things looked and the way things operated and all that. I feel like the right people were involved on some levels there, because it looked amazing. The cars, the Mr. Handys, all these different things were just utterly fantastic and gorgeous in there. And I'm hoping that's what we get with Tomb Raider. But, I'm hoping we don't get an episodic, every week is a single story, a single little 45-minute thing. I'm hoping we get this nice overarching story. And more, this is the way TV is constructed. So, you do want some sort of mini story to be told. So I'm hoping that we get a nice seasonal story, an arc throughout the whole thing. Maybe, the birth of Trinity or whatever, her first engagement with them and all that. But what I hope for even more than that is that the season closes out. And then the next season, you open it back up and you start a new arc and blah, blah, blah. You might have some elements from the first season in there again and so forth and so on. But you kind of keep going it that way and keeping these seasons kind of closed off a little bit. You don't need to cliffhang everything to bring people back, right? If something's good, they're going to come back for it. The very first Star Wars didn't end on a cliffhanger. They blew up the Death Star, and everybody got medals, and I was like, wow, okay, that's cool. And then when Empire Strikes Back came out, I was there, lined up and ready to go. I was a little kid, but I was ready and raring to go. Not because they left a cliffhanger, but because it was good and I wanted more of it. So I'm hoping that, they do some stuff like that with Tomb Raider. It'd be kind of nice. Waller-Bridge's involvement with the Tomb Raider series at Amazon MGM Studios was rumored back in February, with Deadline reporting that she would write a TV series as part of a potential Tomb Raider universe that would span television, film, and games. Deadline also noted Waller-Bridge could also be involved in the potential movie as well as the TV series. So I've heard some very disturbing stuff about the future of Tomb Raider, and some of it is that, like, the next series of games is they're going to take the focus off of Laura and put it on her black female lover, who is a curator of a museum, or maybe Laura's the curator of the museum, or whatever, and now their goal, instead of Laura's goal of raiding tombs and acquiring treasure and all that, is going to be to return things to the indigenous people from which they were originally stolen by white colonizers. Or something like that. Sounds really compelling for a game, right? I mean, wow. That's, what are we going to do? Instead of going through a tomb full of traps and all these ancient mysteries and all that, to grab this beautiful artifact and take it out of there, what are we going to do? Go to the Smithsonian and try to break in at night without triggering their alarms to take something and then bring it back to Wakanda? I mean, I don't know what they're thinking with this, but that's the route that they want to take. So anyway, Waller-Bridge confirmed her involvement with the series, telling IGN in June 2023, "There's so much I can incorporate. I mean, the character of Lara Croft was inspired by Indiana Jones and James Bond, so there's so much that it just feels like the perfect final step in my own personal adventure through this kind of franchise world." She also shared, "I love the idea of, as Steven Spielberg describes it, the greatest show on earth, as in being able to make things with the scale and to go on adventures that big for the comedy and the heart to be matched, but on this kind of great level. And actually, although the adventure stuff that I've learned from those franchises is actually how to keep something feeling grounded as well as allow it to be bigger than itself in some way. And so hopefully that will translate perfectly, seamlessly into Tomb Raider," she added. Hey. I watched the original movies with, I can't remember her name right now. Anyway. Yeah, the original Lara Croft movies, The Cradle of Time and all that. And then I watched a more recent one with Vikander as Lara Croft. That one was based more off of the rebooted series. And that movie was good. A lot of people hated that film. I liked it. I thought that movie was a lot of fun. It felt a little too short and a little too... I think they wasted too much time in the beginning with setting things up and all that, whereas we should have got out into the field a lot sooner, like maybe starting that movie out on the boat already or something like that on their way to the island, kind of like the reboot game did, instead of starting it off with her delivering stuff and being in that bike race and all that goofiness. That was kind of silly. I get why they did it, but still, I feel like we could have not done all that, started on the boat, and then maybe had a couple flashbacks to get some crucial information if we had to have it, but that's just me. Waller-Bridge's involvement in the series all but confirms the show will be dead on arrival. She's an outspoken feminist that injects feminism into her works. She told the BBC that she would trade 5 years of her life for the so-called perfect body. "I would have been the girl with the hand up. I would have been like, hell yes, and then thinking that was honest and thinking that's empowering because it's honest, and yet feeling at the same time that it's letting the side down and not really knowing what the rules were, but then caring so deeply about women and equality with the basic principles of feminism." What did she say there? It's just babble. Anyway, she continued, "And then slightly being frightened by the nuances, that there are traps out there. I still feel like that even when I get asked about it. My heart starts beating a little faster because I know that there are mines you can step on, and I think I'll probably always have that." Okay, whatever. She's another professional victim. So many of them out there. Whew. Well, anyway, this announcement also comes in the wake of Waller-Bridge being involved in the disastrous Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny The film only grossed $384 million worldwide, despite having a budget of $402.3 million. With that production budget, the film would need to gross over $1 billion in order to break even. So this thing came in roughly at a third of what it needed. Carolyn Reed at Forbes noted the film lost the Walt Disney Company $134.2 million after it received a number of tax credits from the UK. However, Reed also notes that the $134.2 million loss does not show the marketing costs for the movie, so it's likely the film lost significantly more than $134.2 million if you factor in those costs. And again, this is the price. This is the price these companies are paying by injecting wokeness into games and movies and all that, because we all know she's a feminist. We all know her character was there to undermine Indiana Jones, make him look silly, and to maybe take the torch from him, the reins moving forward, kind of like Shia LaBeouf was supposed to do in the fourth one, where I guess they were gearing him up to be the guy that Indiana hands the fedora and the whip to, and then he becomes the next Indiana Jones. Thank God that didn't happen. I mean, my respect for Shia LaBeouf has grown since those days, but not by a lot, and I honestly can't see him as the Indiana Jones type character. He's kind of insufferable for the most part in his roles, although I have seen him play some more solid roles since those days. So like I said, I'm warming up to him a little bit, kind of like I am with Robert Pattinson after seeing The Lighthouse, but we're not 100% there yet. Waller-Bridge played Helena Shaw in the film, and the character appeared on What Culture's 10 Characters That Single-Handedly Ruined Recent Movies. Waller-Bridge's character was ranked second behind Army of the Dead's Kate Ward. Oh, another female. What Culture's Robin Baxter wrote that the character seems to be the same obnoxious, arrogant, and selfish piece of work that she was at the start of the movie. She's a completely unlikable character, and that isn't helped by Phoebe Waller-Bridge's smug, arguably Razzie-worthy turn in the role. Baxter added that the film is dragged down a lot by this character, especially since the titular hero himself often plays second fiddle to her, and Helena Shaw makes the prospect of revisiting Indiana Jones' final adventure a pretty daunting one. So I saw a little bit of this with the most recent Mad Max movie that came out. Not this Furiosa prequel, that's not a Mad Max movie, but the Fury Road that came back 16, I think it was, 2016, roughly right around there. Where, we have Mad Max playing second fiddle to Furiosa for a good portion of that movie. And, this is a series that was built on the back of Mad Max, who up until that time was played by the unforgettable Mel Gibson. He just did a great job in that role. Say what you will about Mel Gibson. I know a lot of people hate him because of things he said and done and all that. Personally, I love the guy. I think he's a brilliant filmmaker. And I still remember the first time I watched The Road Warrior. That's what they called the second Mad Max here in the U.S. when it was released. It was the first movie I saw with him in it. It was the first Road Warrior movie I saw, and I was floored by it. I was amazed. I was enthralled with this epic wasteland, post-apocalyptic world with a bunch of punk rockers with mohawks on motorcycles fighting over gasoline with this ragtag group of scavengers. I loved it. It was absolutely the perfect film for me. And again, it came out roughly around the time of Raiders of the Lost Ark, early 80s, I think, or maybe late 70s. I was around 10, 11, 12, roughly around there. These are the movies that really impacted me as a kid. And it's sad to see. I would have rather they just died and stayed away than to see them keep drudging up these characters and taking a dump all over them with these new feminist characters to replace them. These Furiosas and what was her character's name in here? Helena Shaw. Yeah, not fun. So let me know down in the comments what you think about MGM Studios ordering this Tomb Raider series by Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Think it's going to be a piece of crap? I hope she's not involved with the game, but like I said, I heard that the game is going to be it's going to be awful. I have a feeling this whole thing is going to be this whole new experiment with Lara Croft, and it's all going to fail miserably, fall apart, and hopefully force Crystal Dynamics to sell that IP off so that somebody that actually gives a crap about Laura and gives a crap about the Tomb Raider series and what it means and what it stands for, and they could put out some good, solid games that aren't full of DEI woke crap. Anyways, we're going to go ahead and wrap this video up. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the channel and ring that bell for notifications. Don't forget to leave a comment down below. I'll see you guys next time. Until then, peace.